apologies. So, so when we look at looking at properties, identifying who owns them, first one, and we're looking at cost too, right? And time and effort. Postcard and letter is the easiest thing to do. After we knock on the door, right? Absolutely, knock on the door first. That was a great point to identify. We want to knock on the door, D. Good job. It's true. We want to knock on the door. So nobody's there. We leave a postcard letter that says, "Hey, we're interested in your property, and let's wait 3 to 5 days, right, for that." And hopefully someone's picked up the mail. No one's picked up the mail, and you can do this before. You don't have to wait 3 to 5 days. But if you're driving through neighborhoods, say, and you identify one of these properties, have some of these postcard letters on you. You just throw them in the slot. You just throw them in the slot and you move on, right? Easy to do. Neighbors, if we see that the neighbors are available, or we can talk to the neighbors, or we feel comfortable talking to the neighbors, we can ask them who owns the property or what's the story on the property. Okay. What about number 3? Number 3 is city. We can actually go, it's public record, city, or we can do a title search, right? A title search. Now, title search costs money, right? Now, depending who does it for you and how it's done, it could be done through a title company that does these searches for you. It could be done through a lawyer. But a title search will tell you who owns it and if there's any registered liens on it. It gives you a lot more information than the neighbors could give you. But it's you can do that. There is a search website. You pay right online. Yeah. Sarah, why don't you post that up? Yeah, no worries. So, would a realtor be able to give you that? Not if they don't have that information, because they're not listing it. They wouldn't know, right? If they did know and it was never listed property, that'd be kind of odd, right? Because they would have to do a title search themselves. Now, and in Alberta, it's the spin 2 system. Yes, but thought he city website, you can find number and then you can search. Okay, so there's a link right there where you can pay for a title search. Anybody wants it, you can grab it. Okay? You can ask your lawyer to do it. Your lawyers do the same thing. They pay for it. They just charge you to do a title search. Okay? Any questions? Okay, good. All right. You can do title searches. That one looks like it's Alberta, but you can do title searches in Ontario. You can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere in Canada. There's no place that prohibits, as far as I know, prohibits title searches. They just cost money, right? And they're gonna connect that information. They're gonna access that information, I assume, but through the city, and pay a fee for that. They can just access it directly. Okay. So any questions about title search? No, we're good? Is everybody good? Good. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Okay, let's move forward to lease option, rent to own. Okay, so we've done this a few times. We're happy to do it again. Okay, so with the rent to own, to keep in mind, that, step one is tenant buyer. So get the person first. Okay, get the person first. Tenant buyer first. Okay? Now, just to keep it in mind, obviously, and I know this is a review for a lot of us, but it's never bad to go through it. Obviously, the challenge that these people have that we can help them with is related to credit. So, credit challenge. And it could be credit due to their new credit because they're an immigrant. Could be poor credit because something that went wrong with their credit. But credit's the problem. They need money. They need income, and they absolutely need a down payment of 3 to 5%. Okay? So tenant buyer is the first thing that we recognize and identify. Now, as a business model, okay, we're going to charge a fee to see if they qualify for our program, your program. Qualify. Okay? Does everybody understand? We're going to charge a fee for qualification. Okay? Now, how much should we charge? A couple people are already doing this in this group. They're doing it. And they're charging, Dave, you're charging $500, right? 5 to 1,000, 750 is what I charge. Good. So anywhere from 5 to 7, or even I'd say 1,000, right, is what you're charging for the cost of qualifying them. And it's good to do this because this creates a litmus test. This creates, if they're serious about doing this, they'll give you the money. Better than you running around doing what you got to do to figure out if they can, and then they say, I can't do it or don't want to do it. This allows you at least justify your time, right? Okay? So everybody recognize that, okay? We're charging a fee. Okay? Now, in addition to that fee, yes, addition to the fee, we can and we're willing to apply this to the purchase or really the non-refundable option consideration if they qualify. So everybody got that? So if they give us $1,000, we say, look, we're gonna apply it to the qualification, the non-refundable option consideration. So if you were gonna give us $15,000, you're only gonna give us $14,000. Okay? Because we're really doing it to ensure that we're not wasting our time doing this, right? And we don't want to waste time. Okay? So how is it that they qualify? Well, qualification really comes down to, so really the best people or person to help you qualify that is a mortgage broker. Okay, so your mortgage broker is going to qualify them. That being said, Tim, I'm sure Tim gave you guys a qualification sheet. Sierra, you were in that class, right? Yeah. So there's a qualification sheet, questionnaire that you're going to walk them through and ask them all these questions while they're asking about this to ensure that, it's worth even sending them to a mortgage broker. Okay? But I mean, for most part, you're going to send them to a mortgage broker, and the mortgage broker is going to tell you what? They're going to tell you they can qualify, purchase price, qualification, what's their max for purchase price, okay, and time. Okay, time. The time it's going to take when they can qualify. Time to qualify. Okay? So if they can max qualify for 500K and their time qualification is 3 years, the whole plan is built around that right there. Everybody see that? So everything has to be built around the max they're going to qualify for in 3 years. They can qualify in 3 years, and the max they can qualify for is around $500,000. And obviously, the mortgage broker is going to give them a plan. Many of them do. We'll give you a plan. Say, look, you got to do A, B, C, D to make sure that your credit's in in where it needs to be for you to qualify for this mortgage. Okay? Any questions there? We're good, right? Okay. Now, just on a side note, right? Now, the mortgage broker is going to qualify. Some people already have seen a mortgage broker and will see your ad and say, I want to know if I can qualify. You can send it back to the same mortgage broker to find out why they didn't qualify if they don't have all the information. It's good to have your own mortgage broker to work with, because the mortgage broker that you work with is the one that's going to benefit once, if not twice, in the purchase. You should be able to establish that relationship. And it's okay to say to the mortgage broker, can you trust their... Well, it's hard to say, really. That's why I would rather use your own mortgage broker. I would. These guys are not really in the business. I would say the overwhelming majority are good and qualified to do their job, which is to qualify for a mortgage. It's just how creative they are, you never know, right? Yeah, your own mortgage broker, your own mortgage brokers, should be solid. Their mortgage broker, not so sure of the bank. Okay, so your mortgage broker, what I suggest to you to maintain the relationship with your mortgage broker is explain to him what you're doing with the rent-to-owns and say, this is what I want to do. I want to send them to you. My intention is to use you in the initial purchase and or them will be using you for the purchase at the end of the deal because you're going to give them that guidance. I'd like to send people to you. Now, the mortgage broker shouldn't have a problem with that. To maintain and sustain that relationship, because they're using their time too, it wouldn't be terrible to offer them a fee. And say, look, I'm going to send them over to you, and everybody that I send over to you that you spend the time with, which I assume is going to be an hour, you tell me how long it's going to be. And he says, oh, well, it's going to take me an hour to go through this process. I'm going to pay you $100. Okay? $100 to every person that I send to you. Now, remember, if I have $500 from the tenant buyer, if I have $500 to tenant buyer for the application process, because I'm not sending him to my mortgage broker until I get that $500 and they've gone through the qual sheet, is it okay for me to give my mortgage broker $100? Is that okay? Yeah, of course. You want to maintain the relationship with your power team. You want them to be happy. So you can't keep asking these people to do things for free. So just say, look, I understand your time is valuable. Let me pay you $100 a person. And for that, believe me, that for the most part, they're not. I can't imagine them saying no. If somebody says no, then I don't know if you want to work with them at all, really. So you recognize their value, their time. Worst case scenario, you pay them $100, you keep $400, the person doesn't qualify. Okay, awesome. All right. Obviously, we can get leads from our realtor, right? We can get leads from a realtor about people who don't qualify after they sent them to their own mortgage broker or the mortgage broker that we're using. Could be the same one or a different one. And they say, I got somebody that I think might fit your program. Maybe you can help them out. And what the realtor is looking for is you to purchase the property or you to do a sandwich lease option. Okay, which I don't want to get into right now. I'll answer some questions about that at the end. All right, we're good. Yes? On the subject of rewards, how would you is that a delay? Is that what I'm seeing there? Is there any questions? Ed, you were saying on the subject of rewards, how would you? Or did we answer that and I'm seeing a delay maybe? Is everybody good? We're good? Any questions so far? We're good, right? You guys can still hear me, right? All good? Okay. All right. Okay. So let's go. Believe me, every once in a while I will do. I've done one of these before where I was talking to myself for several minutes before I realized nobody was there. So it happens from time to time. Okay. So now that they qualify, what's the next step? Well, the next step is let's send them out with the realtor, right? With realtor to find a property, okay? And they pick that property. They pick the property, okay? So what we'll do is they're going to pick the property, and then the realtor is going to come back to us, the investor, and we're going to negotiate. Okay? We're going to negotiate the deal. Okay? Does everybody see that? So they go with the realtor, right? The tenant buyer goes with the realtor to find the house. They find the house. The investor negotiates. The investor negotiates the property. Okay? The actual purchase price. But remember, the realtor is only taking them to houses that they can afford, right? To take care of. Now, there's something to keep in mind. Your mortgage broker is telling them that they need to qualify, say in 3 years, they can qualify for 500K, right? They can qualify for 500K. But that's in 3 years. You want to make sure, and you can talk to your mortgage broker about this, you know, if we're taking a property that's increasing 5% a year, every year, then we might have to start with a property that's 463, maybe 420, I think would be around at. I have to check the math. 5% a year for 3 years. That would get you close to, or maybe even a little bit more, to 500K. Does everybody understand that? Because if we qualify them, now I got to check because it'll bother me. We need to make sure that they can. Let me just double check this now. I want to see what the price would be. So I'm just going to do the math myself. Give me 1 second. So it's 420,000, and the interest rate is 5. Period is 3. That would be, we'd be okay. We'd be 487. So we could actually go a little bit higher. Let's go a little bit higher. Let's go 26. Oh, we can go higher. Sorry, I'm in my own space here. Just want to see how high we can go. Oh, we can go even 30. 430,000. There you go. So the max is 430,000. There you go. 430,000. Now, oh, thank you. You had it. Okay, 430,000 at 5% will get us to 500K. Now, there's something to keep in mind here. Okay, that's 430,000 retail. Everybody understand? That's retail. That's not what we get it for. That's retail. So today, this property is worth 430,000 retail. When we negotiate this property, right? When we negotiate this property, maybe we get it for 412, right? 412K is what we get it. But the retail is 430. Does everybody see that? Everybody understand? Right? So we got to get it for 430 is the retail, but we got to get it. We still want to get it for less. But the retail, because the 5% starts with the retail number. Not what we get it for, the retail number. Okay? Now, we're gonna because we've had conversations with these people, obviously, and they've qualified for our program. What is the missing component that I haven't talked about yet? Who can tell me? Yeah, the non-refundable option consideration. This has to be in hand before we purchase the house. Do you understand? Before we put an offer. Before we purchase the house. We need a non-refundable option consideration in hand. Consider the non-refundable option consideration like a first and last month's rent of a house, of a property. You wouldn't give them the keys, and I know maybe some of you have actually done this, but you never give them the keys until they give you first and last month's rent. You never give them the keys. You never even put a purchase price out unless you have a non-refundable option consideration in hand. Does everybody understand that? Now these are rules, right? These are really ironclad rules. Doesn't mean there's not exceptions, right? There's times where, and when you're advanced, don't play, don't fool around with the rules until you really get this and you really understand it. But you need the non-refundable option consideration before we purchase the property, right? So we're looking for, 3 to 5%. Okay, 3 to 5% before we purchase. And that's 3 to 5% of, right, retail purchase price. Okay? That makes sense? Okay, good. Okay, good. Now remember something. Someone might say, well, wait a minute. What about the market rents? How do we know they can afford the rent? Well, the reason we know they can afford the rent is why? Who can tell me? How do we know they can afford the rent, even though we haven't checked anything yet? Pre-qualified, mortgage breakdown, good. Those are all right. So the reason that you know, as a rule, that they'll be able to afford whatever the market rent is in that area is because rent will almost always be less than what? Ownership. Okay? Rent will always be less than ownership. Okay, so rent could be $1,500. Ownership would be $1,800. Okay? See what I mean? So by the mortgage broker telling us what they can afford, and that's all based around what? All based around income, right? What can they afford to pay as a mortgage payment, right? Mortgage payment, bills, all that stuff. Now, keep something in mind. They take all the other stuff out, and they're really just looking at mortgage, right? That's the one that keeps in mind that you've been pre-approved for this amount of mortgage payment. What they're doing is they're basically saying, after I take away all other expenses in your life, right? If I take this away, right? What do you have left, right? What's left over for mortgage payment? What's left? Now, this is what they do. When they find out what's left, and let's say per month, right? It's per month. Okay? If they have $2,000 left per month, that's what they have left for mortgage. What does that mean in reference to a house? What does it mean in reference to a house? Well, what's interesting is it can mean a lot of different things, depending on the institution that you're working for. As an example, let me explain. $2,000 mortgage payment. $2,000 is your total, like after taxes. The taxes and everything are taken care of, but we're just looking at mortgage payment. So $2,000 per month. Well, what can that get you in the way of a mortgage payment? Well, let's see. If I go to a mortgage calculator, actually, let me show you. If I can show you this, let me see. I was just looking at a sheet. Yeah, let's look at the sheet. This will work. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to share my screen, and I'll give you an example. It's easier to see. Okay, share my screen. Good. Okay, so you see my screen. This is the 6 key indicators. That's not important. This is the important part. Okay, so let's assume. So I'll put this up there. Okay, let's assume bank financing is, let's just for a regular person, 95%. Okay, and make this 0 and 5%. They got to put 5% down. Okay. So the financing on the 5% is going to be 0 and 0, right? No financing. Now look at this. They can afford $2,000, right? So $2,000, and I should go over here. The purchase price is $100,000, okay? So let's go 300,000. So $300K is the house, and they have $2,000 to spend, okay, per month, okay? Everybody's with me, yes? They have 2,000, they've identified, look, I only have, the person only has what they have, right? So if they only have 2,000 a month, right? And that's this number here, by the way. Let's take this yellow. So right now, it's, if I take a $300,000 house, that's $285,000, 25 years at 4%, they could actually afford more. They could afford more of a house, right? So how much can they afford? Well, let's go back. Let's do this. This will make it easier. Okay, so let's see. Can they afford 350? Oh, they can even go higher. Wow. There you go. They can afford a $400,000 house. They're paying 4% over 25 years. That's what they can afford. Okay? Everybody see that? Any questions? Now here's the other thing to look at. What if they're paying 5%? Oh, wait a minute. They can't afford a $400,000 house. They can only afford not even 380, 375 maybe. Oh, not even 375, 373, say. Oops. 373. Okay? 373. Oh, wow, not even 370. Does everybody see that? What I've done? It's not even 370. So if I increase the interest, the guy only has 2,000, right? That's what they can afford, right? So this person has $2,000. That's all they have, right? That's their income for income for mortgage. After they took everything else away, that's what they're going to look at, income for mortgage. Their income for mortgage is $2,000. So this number can't go above $2,000. How did you figure out how much they can afford? Well, we're not going to do that. The mortgage broker is. And the mortgage broker basically, based on a bunch of metrics, they're going to take, they're going to figure that out. So they can afford $2,000 a month. They're going to get them as much house as they can, right? So we know one function is percentage, right? If I change the percentage, that's going to change what it's going to cost. I have to bring the house down, right? So I might have to go to 350 now, even less, 340. Let's go 340. 340,000. It's going to be under 340,000 if I'm at 6%. But what's the other thing that I can do? Well, I could change the term. The amortization. If I change the amortization to 30, look, they can afford more house. What if I went 35 years? Wow, if they went 35 years, I could probably afford 380,000. Okay, now I'm up to 380,000. Does everybody see what I'm doing? So what part of this is not changing? What part of this is not changing? Income, right? This right here is not going to change. What someone can afford is all they can afford. You can't do anything about that. So this is why it's important to understand. When interest rates go up, so let's take this back to 25 years. When interest rates go up, what happens? If interest rates go up, what happens to how much people how much house they can buy? Interest rates go up, then their house can't buy as much, their $2,000 can't buy as much house. Yeah, house prices have to go, right? If the amortization expands, they can afford more house. If the amortization goes down, then they can't afford as much house. So this is the way the government and CMHC and these other companies, these other government, this is how they control house prices. Does everybody see that? They control house prices by controlling rates. That's how they do it. That's how banks control it too, to an extent. But ultimately, the Bank of Canada is really trying to control, how much house you can buy. And obviously, if they tell you, well, guess what, your 2,000 can't buy as much house, prices have to come down. Because it doesn't just affect the person making 2,000 that's available. It could be the person that's making 10,000 that can afford 10,000. Well, just because they can afford 10,000, which isn't going to change, that's their income, because their income's not going to change just because interest rates went up or down. In fact, if interest rates go up considerably, it's going to decrease their available money. Does everybody understand that? Any questions about that? We good? Okay. This stuff's it's important to understand, and I want you to understand that. Check this out. What if I did a 99 years? Look, 99 years at 4%. How much can my 2,000 buy now? Let's see. Let's try 600,000. Look at that. It's more than 600,000 now. It was 380 or 370. Now it's 600,000. And that same house, income can now buy a $600,000 house. Does everybody see that? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Really, it is. Really, it is. And that's them getting a mortgage of 95%, not 20%. They're not putting 20% down. They're putting 95%. Only 5% down. 5% down, and they're putting up. The mortgage is 95% of the property. Obviously, if I put, 80 and 20, that's I can get more house, but the reason we don't want to put that 20% obviously is it's going to affect our return on investment. We're not cool with that. We want the least amount. Okay, any questions before I get away from this? So your mortgage broker is going to calculate this stuff for you. They're going to tell you, right? So if we went back to 25 years and say 3.5% because it's residential, they'd be getting 430, or I think it's 450. Was it? No more, 480. So how about 480,000? But remember something. That's 3 years from now. That's 3 years from now. That's what they're going to afford. If their income stays where it is, that's 3 years from now. So we'd have to go down, appreciation 5% per year. If oh yeah, I haven't changed it. You're right. Good point. If I don't, there we go. 5% down. Yeah, there you go. Did seem high, didn't it? Let's go 430. So just under 430,000. Can you still get a place with 5% down? Residential, you can. I'm talking about them, right? Not you. I'm talking about them with an institution, a regular institution. 25 years, 3.5. Yeah, they can put 5. First-time home buyers, for sure they can. For sure they can. It's not even really first-time home buyers. It's your residence. It's your residence. You're qualified if it's your residence. How can a person buy a house by putting 5% down payment with current rates? I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean by how can they? Anybody for a residential home? We're talking about them. No, not for a first-time home buyer. Not for your own house. Maybe you're thinking investors. Investors are going to ask for more, but not a first-time home buyer. First-time home buyers, 5%. Just 5%. That's all they're looking for. Everybody understand that? Okay. The other thing to keep in mind, now that you bring it up, right? Yeah, but those other things, that's awesome, Mike. Other than those things, obviously, the one other thing that they can do, the other thing you can do, that's the lender, Majdi. The lender decides that. Really, it's the lender that decides that. Any lenders can do whatever they want. But if insurability, CMHC, there's more than one insurance company, too, for mortgages, by the way. But CMHC has its own rules. There's other ones that have their own rules. That's really a rule that they make up, Majdi, if you're dealing with someone that says over 500K. But yeah, there can be restrictions. But on the whole, you're looking at 5% down. You're looking at, now let me say something, because you're bringing up some great points. So we need to put 20% down payment, but I see Advantage saying just need 5% of down payment to buy a home. Yeah, because they're putting that 5%, they're buying it as a home end user, right? We're still talking about rent to owns, right? We're talking about them getting qualified, right? So the other thing to keep in mind is this, folks. If the government, or sorry, if the institutions are starting to ask for more down, right? Yeah, right there. See, I believe that Ontario it's 5% up to 550, and then 10% on everything. But you got to remember, folks, that's a rule. That's not a law. Does everybody understand that? That's a rule mandated by the lenders. Does everybody understand that? That's not a law. Yeah, that's not a law. That's a rule. Okay? So rules we can bend, laws not a good idea to break. Right? But rules can change. I mean, they change all the time. Now, the other way, and it's funny you brought that up, because that's a great point. If the government, sorry, if the institutions are saying, hey, anything over 500K, we're going to have to ask you for 10% down. What's going to happen to the real estate market above 500K? What's going to happen? Yeah, it's going to go down for sure. You know, it's going to go down because they're asking for more money saved now. So now there has to be more money saved. So if somebody's buying a $600,000 house, they need $60,000 where they would have only needed $30,000. That 5%. Does everybody understand? Tenant buyer qualifies, but we do. Yeah, we don't. We don't, Mike. Not with that lender. The lender's gonna. We're gonna go with something else. We're gonna do something creative. But remember something, Mike. If let's pretend. I want to keep this. I want to give this. If we get a tenant buyer for a house that's $430,000, right? How much do we need to put up if it was just a regular lender? They'd ask us for how much, Mike? How much? Well, no, that's the end user. But how much are they gonna? Yeah, they ask for 20%. But can we use the 5% the tenant buyer gave us for non-refundable as part of the 20%? Sure we can. Sure we can. Yeah. For sure. Good deals are good deals. Good money will always find good deals. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll just got to start with a good deal. So what's funny about the percentage change? So if they're asking for 10% over properties over 500,000, what happens is properties over 500,000 start to see a push down. What's funny is properties under 500,000 do what? They get pushed up, because instead of these people buying $500,000, $600,000 houses, now they are buying houses under 500,000, which does what? Pushes the numbers up again, right? Under. It's the more expensive properties that are going down while the lower cost ones go up. Okay? These are the things that happen. It's the impact, right? The consumer's impact based on those changes. And they know for the most part what they're doing. Whether it's a good idea or bad idea, that's another discussion we can't have right now. But typically when the government makes changes, it creates predictability, which is not good for the market on the whole. But we'll have that discussion some other time. All right. Any other questions before I get rid of this? Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. 100%, Vipan. Yep. That's exactly right. Okay. Let's stop sharing. Let's go back to our sheet. Okay. Now that we understand a little bit better the qualification method and what we're going to do. What we're going to do now is after they give us the money for the property, I don't even know what I'm looking at here, 3061K. That's not the, hold on one sec. Okay, we were saying 200 a month. There it is. So 200 a month is what they could afford. We ended up seeing that it was like 400 and I think it was how much was it? 400 and 30 we said. Yeah, 430 would be it. So we would have to back it up, right, by the appreciation, estimated appreciation, say in this case 5% for 3 years. And that's what would give us the price that they could afford. Okay? Any questions about that? We're good? Okay. Now we get the money. Well, let's not forget the contracts and agreements that have to be in place, obviously, between you and the tenant buyer. There has to be a lease agreement and an option agreement, separate agreements, right? So this is the lease agreement, this is the option agreement. Separate these agreements and then obviously deal with the proper team member and support lawyer in this case to ensure that that's correct, okay? All right. Now they get in the house and then 3 years later, obviously they have the option in the lease for year 1, year 2, and year 3. You can do it lots of different ways, but they have the option to purchase during that period. Okay, that's as far as I want to go on this part of it. That's what I want to do is now answer questions in reference to any of the people that sent me emails, because you're asking me about rent to own, and you know, I want to answer those questions with the group as much as I can. So Dave, I looked at your deal and everything looks right on the deal, Dave. I wish I was hoping that you could make a little bit more money on the property, and I was wondering if you had gotten a discount on the property at all. Did we get a discount on that, Dave? Because it looks like the purchase price you got it for is where the option is starting. Let's give him a chance to do that. Anybody else? There we go. I'm actually writing up the offer on the first one, Meridian tonight, and offering less. My ceiling is the purchase price is posted. Okay, Dave, then that'll affect obviously our profit. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Then you're fine, Dave. Yeah, let's see what we can get it for price. I think the return, I'm just looking at it right now. What do I have in here? Rent to own. I wanted to see, so right now, Dave, it's showing that you're making how much? You're making, trying to bring up the file. What's your return? 37%? I can't remember. Hold on. I'm trying to bring up the file now. What was your original percentage that you had? 38, yeah. So that's going to go up, right? If we can get a discount on the property, obviously our return is going to be higher, right? Absolutely. So let me know, Dave, what happens with that when you get it. That's good. Any other questions about it? Otherwise, Dave, I mean, it makes sense. It's just really about that discount to get that number up, because that's 38% over the term, yeah. So we want to maximize that up later. Well, it was 38 per year. Okay, well, let's get it up higher with the discount then. I'd still like to see us the money amount. I think the money amount. What was the money amount, Dave? Wasn't quite. Remember, we were trying to make about 20 a year. I think you were. How much were you getting paid? Now your cash flow, the total amount you were getting. So remember, Dave. Here, I'll just bring everybody into this. How much are you putting in, Dave? You're putting in. How much was it? 80. You put in. How much are you putting in? What was the total? It was like 81 or something like that. Less 12. 75 less 12 because that's the non-refundable, right? So 62. Okay, 62. And 3 years you're going to profit 56. Is that right? Oh, that's something. Oh yeah, I see that. Okay. So that's going to be 38 a year, but over the period, it's going to be almost 100% return on your money, ROI. Okay, So the extra bonus is going to be, that's a good deal. Extra bonus is going to be what we can get in the discount on the price. Any questions from anybody on that? So really, this is the most important part that we just discussed, Dave and I, was how much are we putting up? How much are we making, right? So this is the amount put up. This is how much we're making. Really, the cost of the house is inconsequential in reference to what's important. This is a percentage, 38 per year, and we're almost making 100% ROI on the overall 3 years. So everybody, any questions about that? We're good? No, we're good? Okay. My second one is the VT is the tenant buyer only has 5K on 300. So Dave, with that one right there, those ones make me nervous. Yeah, it makes me nervous because Dave, you can get the other portion of it. So here we go, folks. Let's look at that for a sec. So, you know, as a rule, right, we would like to see on a $300,000 property, we'd like to see 9 to 12K for non-refundable, right? Which is what? 3 to 5%. Sorry, 15K. 3 to 5%. Everybody see that? Everybody understand that, right? We'd like to see 9. That wasn't very pretty, but 9 to 15K. That's still ugly. 9 to 15K. Okay? And this is because we want to see 3 to 5% against that price. Okay? Now, how much are you working with, Dave? 5K, yes? So 5K, please, nobody, I don't want you to, not without guidance and help, from a mentor and experience, I was going to approach the seller to give me an extra 3 to 4K on the purchase price. It's a new build. You could do that, Dave, and I think you should do that. But the tenant buyer, if they're only putting up the 5K, you got to find a way to get the other 4K from them, either through rent credits or something, Dave. But you got to get that 9K. Like say in the first year you increase the rent credits to make up the 9K. That extra 4K is security, right? It's security. They can give me a $300 a month extra over 48 months. That's good. Yeah, that's good. But is that private lender for the first year work? Yeah, you could do that too, Mike, if they can afford it. And selling price at $325K. You could, but I'm not a big fan of you taking on lending for a tenant buyer. Yeah, exactly. Sierra and Wilbur, got it. You can add it to the first year to make up the extra money. But I'd rather you didn't, though. I really wouldn't because, you need them to come up with the money somehow. Do everything you can, Dave, obviously. Can they borrow the money? Can they get it from family members? Blah, blah, blah. But make them stretch if you can. Make them stretch. It's 4K. It's 4K. Means a lot to you, actually. I know it's a lot to them in this case because they don't have a ton of money probably, but it's important. Okay. We good, Dave? You let me know you update me on those as they go through. You can, Dave. I mean, you should try to get the best possible price, but the tenant buyer, I don't even know. Really, that's not helping the tenant buyer or helping you with the tenant buyer because the tenant buyer needs a little more skin in the game. That's all. But I mean, you should do that anyways. For sure. Okay, that's Dave. Who else wants to talk about their email that they sent me? The initial questions that I was getting from those emails that I moved over for tonight were concerning the wholesale of how to find a property and other things, and also talking about rent to own. And I went through the rent to own. There was one. Anybody else send me something they wanted to talk about right now? Please let me know. Okay. Wait, Jared, you on the call here? Let me see, Jared. Jared there. Let me see. Where's Jared? Oh, there you go. So, Jared, you talked to Ed, right? Adnan? Jared, you talked to Adnan, right? Is it me or? Jared, can you hear me? Oh, you did. I'm sorry. Okay, I missed it. All right, Jared. You know, you told me that you're working with a tenant buy, for sale by owner, and you want to do a sandwich lease option. Is that right, Jared? Sandwich lease option, Jared? No, just a normal rent to own. So in this case, Jared, you're buying the property, yeah? Is that right? You're buying the property and renting out. Oh, okay, all right, okay, good, good, good. Okay, so have you qualified the tenant buyer? You did, you did. Okay, you sent them to a mortgage broker and got them qualified, right? Pre-qualified, right? Excellent. And they fit into this particular house? The cost of this house, you worked that out, the numbers on that? Jared, you have the cash flow sheet for rent to own? Do you have it? Okay, good. All right, when you're done that cash flow sheet, Jared, you send it to me to review, okay? Just want to make sure the numbers make sense. Okay, good. All right, so Emily, there you are. Emily, you're talking about your property, yeah? And the 6 key indicators that you were using, you're trying to understand it, right? Okay, so let's do this. Hold on one sec. Let's do this. Okay. Right here. Give me 1 second. Why is it? Let me try this a different way here. Okay, let's try something else here. Hold on a second. Oops. Get rid of that. Let's try something. No. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to bring that up. Hold on 1 second. Okay, why did it come up like that? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me bring that up, and then I'll share the screen. Okay. Here we go. Right. Sorry, folks. Just bringing up the file. There we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right. Share this with the group. And I think what we're going to do is what we'll do is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to end with this deal here. And Sierra, send me an email. I'll follow up with you. Okay, we'll make some time. Don't worry. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else other than Emily? Because we're gonna wrap up with Emily's situation. Anybody else? On the subject of rewarding your team, Sam, how do you reward a realtor for supplying you comparables for a wholesale deal? So Ed, there's lots of ways you can do this, folks. Comparables are really, really easy for realtors to do. So I don't know, I don't want you to get gouged for that service. But it's really, it could be anything. I think that you don't want to waste their time, but at the same time, you don't want to get you don't want to spend tons of money doing comparables all the time. So I don't know are any of you paying for your comparables? No? Sierra, what are they charging you? Or what are you paying? Now I want to double check. Right now, is there any realtors on the call tonight? Yeah, exactly, D. You're right. Okay, so I don't want to overwhelm D. I don't want to overwhelm you. And D, if you're going to do stuff, I mean, it's okay for you to ask for a cost. But D, are you open to maybe looking at some deals for other people for a fee if you're comfortable with that? I don't want to, again, right? So this is what we're gonna do. D, I'm not gonna let her show her email until I stop recording. I'm still recording because I want to do this deal. But after that, D will put up her email. Anybody who wants to reach out to D, you can do that, and you guys can maybe talk to her about working something out. Does that sound good for everybody? Would you like me to do that? Yes? Would you like Dee's email? Not everybody at once. Okay, just so everyone understands, Dee's a realtor. She's in the program. She gets the business. If I were you, I would take advantage of that. To talk to somebody that's in the program who gets it, because it's not easy finding people that get what we do, and this is somebody who does. So, yeah, it's up to you. I'm not, pleased. Don't get me the wrong idea. I'm not promoting anybody directly, but I'll tell you. Well, you can figure that out. D in BC, Lower Mainland. Hi, D. Can you provide CMHC Canada wide? You know what? Let's deal with that in a second. Let's do this first, and then Dee can put up her email, and you guys can give her a call if that's okay, if everybody wants to do that. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. This will be the last thing we do today. And this is your property, right, Emily? Okay, so 375, one unit, 3,600 is gross revenue. Expenses, do you know the actual expenses, Emily? No, I just used that. Okay, so you don't, but do you know your actual expenses? Or can you give me an estimate of the real expenses on this? Okay, what's roughly the real expenses? Not mortgage, not anything else, just expenses. expenses are 24 a year. That's what? Insurance and taxes, is that right? More like 45. So insurance and taxes, 4,500 a year. Is that right, Emily? Okay. So let's do this. Oh, that's gross revenue over 12 months. So this is monthly. Okay, so no, this is for the year. 1,800, 36. You know why? Here it is. The gross revenues for a year, Emily. So what's the gross revenue for? Is it 36 a month? That would be 43,000. Oh wait, if I could rent, I could safety rent for 18 a month, which is 21,600. Okay, let's use that. 21,600. Maybe everyone and anyone can do this for their property. This is their own property. So let's say that let's go back to 35 now. It's actually higher for the gross rent. But you know what? Let me tell you something. Let's assume that we'd include vacancy and maintenance and all that jazz on the property. But that's just leave it there at 35. Okay, net operating income is 14,000. Okay, so bank financing 80%, out of pocket 20%. You have 20% equity in the house. Is that right? Okay, that's why you did that. Okay, good. Okay, so James Bond financing will be a little bit less, but the cash. Oh, what happened here? Let's see. Hold on one sec. Let's see if this works. I can just move that over. The real numbers. Okay, let's do this. Hold on. Let's go to this one. Let's do. So run me through the numbers. I'll put it in this sheet. So the numbers are 375. Okay, units are 1. What did we say the yearly was? 21,000. What was it? 21,600. 600. Okay, 30. Let's go 35. Just leave it there. Then we go. You put 80% and 20% down. Okay. Is the mortgage? You got a 25-year? Does that look like your monthly mortgage? Okay, 30-year. Okay. Does that look like your mortgage payment per year? Per month? Sorry, 15. Okay, good. Okay. So what we're gonna do for the math, right? This says James Bond is 36. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace that with this here, because that's your mortgage payment, and the cash flow will say, why is the full price 430? It's not. That's from the other one. That's garbage. Oh yeah, that's I see. 375. You're right. Because I moved it. Okay, there we go. That's right. Yes. Okay, 375, 300,000, 30 year, 3.5. Is that your mortgage payment? Looks still right to you? Monthly? Okay. So actually, this is equals this. Okay. Okay. So your yearly is 16,000. Okay. We're good? Okay. So let's see what the numbers look like. So your GRM is 17.36. Is that good or bad? That's bad. Your GRM, cap rate is 3.7, also not good. The value of our property is 140, and we have a negative cash flow of 172 bucks. Cash on cash return is negative 0.28%. Okay, Does anybody have any questions about this? Because this is pretty much the state of every most single family homes. Don't be sad, Emily. Ownership is it's a liability, really. This is not terrible. It's just the way it is. Just the way it is. This is why there's a cost to ownership, and this is to call this an investment property to me. For an owner is not a good idea. Does anybody have any comments or questions about this? Because this is pretty much the state of everybody's property, most properties in Canada. Anybody? You want to try something just to show you something? Here. Everyone's quiet. I don't know if that's good or bad. Okay? Let's say we do this. Okay. All right. Okay. Check this out. Okay, so Emily, let's pretend you paid cash for the house. Okay? There's no mortgage on it. Okay? What do the numbers look like? GRM is 17. Cap rate's 3.7. Our value of the property is 140. The difference is, all those numbers are the same, right? The difference is cash flow per month is $1,700. Cash on cash return doesn't really compute because of the way it calculates. But look, the cash amount, let me fix that. The cash amount put in for you is out of pocket, which is basically the whole amount. So let's do it this way. That's what I should have done. There we go. Okay. Do you see that? You see, even if she paid cash for this and had no mortgage, look at her return. Her return would be 3.7%. She's got cash flow, but her percentage is horrible. Why would you invest in real estate for 3.7? I mean, that's not worth it. That's not worth it in my view. Does everybody understand this? Everybody understands what's happening here, right? This is the current state of property in Canada. And really it's anywhere, but so there's Emily, if there's nothing wrong with doing this. You own the house, it's yours. You're doing this for yourself. It's okay to own a house. It's not okay to think your house is an asset. That's a problem. That's a problem. This is a good exercise. I'm glad you did it, Emily. It's a good exercise for everybody to do. Really, it's a good exercise for everybody to do. Well, you know what, Emily? Email me about that. Me and you will have another conversation about that, okay? No problem. I like the people problem-solving example. It's really practical learn. Yeah, absolutely. If that's the state of most properties, then how can we get up to 10% cap rates? Yeah, absolutely. Mejdi, how can you? So who can tell me how can we? How can we get 10% cap rate? And Mejdi, this property, OPM, yeah, okay, OPM, but cap rates won't be affected by OPM. They'll be helped in returns for sure. You got that right, Ronnie, for sure. Creatively, yeah, creativity will help us do that. But Mejdi, what's unique about this property? Why is this property giving us 3.7 and we can expect to get 10 somewhere else? There's something unique about this property. Number of units? No, not the number of units. What state is this in? What state is this in? The property itself is in what state? It's in location. Location, yeah, but the you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. Location matters in the way of cap rates, and that's about the right cap rate. But what state is it in? Retail. Nice. This is a retail state property, which if it's in retail, Mejdi, if it's in retail, then there is no what? There is no what? If it's in retail estate, then there is no what for us to do. There is no room for profit. Yeah. There's no deal. You're right. There is no, how do we get money, folks? How do we get paid? How do we get paid? Problem solving. Exactly. So look, if there's no problem, then why would we get paid? There's no problem with this house. It's in retail estate. So because there's no problem, there's no profit for us. So the state of this property is really the challenge for us. So is every property in Canada in a retail state? Well, heck no. Heck no. We're not dealing with these properties. Now, there is one strategy that will allow you to profit from this property. And what is that? Rent to own. That's absolutely right. You hit it right there. That's why rent to own is such a great strategy, because it can take this property and turn it into profit. Watch, real quick. Okay, look. If I change the bank financing to 80, even 80-20, okay? 80-20, okay? So change the financing back to 80-20. All right. Let's go over here. And we're going to change the rent. We're going to add another 5 would be 6. Let's try 6,000 to 27,000 per. Okay. This expense is going to go down now to 20, about 20, actually less, 18. Yeah, it's about 18%. Okay. So what happened? If we go down here, what happened? GRM is 13. Cap rate is 5.9. Value of the property is 241. But look at this. Cash flow. Now, these numbers, these metrics, are not as important. This GRM and cap rate, because we're doing a what? We're doing a rent to own, right? Everybody see that? So what did I do? Just so we're clear. What did I do? I increased the rent because of rent credits. I decreased the expenses because it's just taxes and insurance, right? The mortgage is over here. Everybody see that? So I've taken a property and I've turned it into a viable return, cash on cash return of 29.5%. That being said, what I didn't include is what? What I didn't include is the profit from the purchase to the sell, right? Everybody see that? This isn't a rent to own sheet. It'll be easier to see on that. But if we do this to rent to own, the other thing is I want to change something, one thing. If I use the seller, if the seller puts up more, if the seller gives me the non-refundable, right? And I end up doing 85.15 because I only have to put up 15 because they give me 5. That's going to affect my return on investment. It's going to go up higher, okay? Because my financing is going to cost me less. Let me double check this financing. Oh, look at that. The financing is not even in there. Wasn't even in there to begin with. Let's see. Even at this, it wasn't. Okay. Let's go 25 and 3.5. Okay. Cash on cash return now drops to 5.4. So actually, the property was making less than. The cash flow per unit is 253, which would be, this would be higher. This would have to go higher, 30,000 to make the cash flow right. Yep, that's about right there. The down payment we put in was 15, 25. Oh, yep, 3.5, that's 0. We put up, that's right. Okay, so the only difference in this property would be our purchase price, right? Let's change the purchase price. Let's say we got a 5% would be 15. Let's go 350. Just to bring it down, we got a discount on it. 50,000. Okay, let's leave it there. Okay, so this is what our cash flow would be. Okay, so cash flow would be $564. Yes, everybody got that? $556. The purchase price that we got it for. We got it for $350. It's worth $375. We're going to go 5% more a year. I don't know what that's going to give us. Somebody can figure that out, I guess. 5% would give us another 5% on 375. Let me see. Can anybody calculate that for us? Principal amount is 350. No, 375. 123. I should have used the cash flow sheet for the actual rent to own. It ends up being 435. Let me go over here. We'll put it here. 435, 435, 300. There you go. That's what it's going to be in 3 years. That's what it's going to be worth in 3 years, right? Everybody see that? Everybody understands that, right? So we got it for 350. We're going to sell it for 335. So how much is that right there? That's like 80 grand. That's $80,000 we would make on the sale of it. Plus the rent 564, but we got some rent credits in there. Say it's half. Say it's half. Say it's 200. Say it's $300 real cash flow. So $300 we would make 80. 3 by 3 is 39. I'll say we make another 10,000. It's more, but 10,000, 380. That would be about $90,000 profit on this property as a rent to own. I know I'm all over the place here. My apologies. It's at the end of the call, but it's about $90,000. Now, $90,000, and the investment for us was 50 total out of pocket, 52,000. Is that a good deal? Yes. So a property like this, if we yeah, Majdi, for sure. This property is not going to make you any money unless we do a rent to own, folks. In its current state, it would be worse than actually what we were looking at originally. It'd be worse because of the mortgage. It had no mortgage. Sorry, it was 3.7%. So remember, it was 3.7%, I think, Emily. Well, if we paid cash for this property, it would be 3.7% return. Yeah, there would be cash flow, but the return would suck. For an investor, the only opportunity realistically in these types of properties is rent to own, and the return is huge. Okay? Are we good, Emily? Good. My pleasure. Okay. All right, folks. We ran the marathon today. Okay. Any other questions before we end the evening? What do you think? Which one is better for regular long-time cash flow apartment condos or 3-bedroom house in terms of regular rent after paying all taxes and bills? Without question, I would say single-family homes. I'm not a fan of condo or apartments units only because of condo fees. Right? It's very, very difficult to control that cost. It can change on you. I would rather be in a property where I can get my costs fixed, to tell you the truth. But, I mean, it's not like there's not opportunity there either. There's not like there's not opportunity. I don't want to push you away from it. Every opportunity should be examined, right? And we want to be able to do it quickly. And this is why we use the tools we use. Okay? All right. Any other questions before we close out tonight? No? Okay, good. Can everybody say hi to our Oakville group that came and joined us this evening? Can you say hi to Oakville? Say hi to Oakville. Oakville, next time you come on, make sure you put in that you're from Oakville, so people in the Toronto area, the GT area, know that you're from Oakville, and we can make some connections, okay? All right? All right, if we're good, type in yes. Why? Yes. Okay, don't leave yet. Just give me one more second. Good. All right, excellent. Now, this is what's going to happen. Dee's going to put up